Will you be the one to witness the birth of the incredible Nintendo Entertainment System?
Nintendo changed the industry forever.
They gave us the Game Boy.
There are waiting lists and tickets just to stand in line and get a chance to buy PlayStation 2.
If you grew up in America, you probably remember the glow. That soft neon light spilling out of a mall arcade. The hum of machines squeezed shoulder to shoulder. The smell of popcorn drifting from the food court mixing with the sound of Pac-Man dying for the 10th time. Maybe you remember sitting at home, clutching a warm slice of Pizza Hut, while the NES startup chime echoed through the wood-paneled living room, or those long summer afternoons at your friend's house. Everyone sitting cross-legged on the carpet, controllers tangled like spaghetti, arguing over who got the good controller, the one that wasn't slightly broken. Video games weren't just entertainment. They were a soundtrack to our childhood, a piece of American culture that shaped entire generations. But behind all those memories, the Blockbuster rentals, the Game Boy batteries dying during road trips, the late-night Mountain Dew LAN parties, is a story thousands of years long. A story filled with strange inventions, massive failures, billion-dollar rivalries, and a future stranger than anything we've ever seen on a screen. Today, we're traveling through the entire history of video games, from ancient war simulations to the arcade boom to the console wars in American living rooms to the crash that almost wiped out the industry, and finally, to the virtual worlds we're stepping into now. So grab your controller and let's press start. Long before quarter-eating arcade cabinets took over American malls, games were tools used by ancient civilizations. The Greeks and Romans played early strategy games to train their soldiers, simulating battles long before computers existed. Chess arrived around the 6th century, one of the earliest pure strategy games ever created, a test of patience, intelligence, and tactics. But real video games needed something humanity didn't have yet: electronics. And ironically, it took a world war to set the stage. After World War II, America entered the age of the mainframe computer. Giant machines filling entire rooms. Scientists, mostly out of curiosity, started coding simple digital games: tic-tac-toe, computer chess, tiny experiments that pushed technology forward. Then came 1958. Inside a lab in New York, physicist William Higginbotham created something playful on the oscilloscope screen: tennis for two. It was simple, a glowing dot bouncing back and forth. But it was the first time someone created a video game for fun, not science. No one knew it yet, but the spark that would fuel decades of American childhood memories had just been lit. By the 1960s and early 70s, companies realized something huge. These games could make money. Real money. Sega released Periscope in 1965, one of the earliest arcade-style games. Then in 1972, home gaming made its first leap with the Magnavox Odyssey. It wasn't flashy, but for the first time, American families could bring games into their living rooms. But the real explosion came when Atari launched Pong. One game, one sound, and America lost its mind. Bars, bowling alleys, restaurants, everywhere people gathered, Pong followed. It wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural takeover. Within weeks, Pong machines were everywhere Americans spent their evenings. Smoky pool halls, roadside diners off Route 66, wood-paneled arcades, VFW halls, even gas stations installed them because they made customers stay longer and spend more. Between 1978 and 1982, America entered what many still call the golden age of arcades. Malls turned into neon-lit temples. Kids lined up for Space Invaders, Pac-Man, Asteroids, Missile Command, Defender, and Donkey Kong. Quarters clinked in pockets like treasure. And in the 1970s, that sound wasn't just spare change. It was your ticket to 5 minutes of glory. Kids stood shoulder to shoulder, pockets sagging with coins they begged from parents or earned mowing lawns, waiting for their shot at taking down the local king of Pong. Then gaming came home for real. Consoles turned living rooms into digital playgrounds. Families gathered around giant wooden TV sets, cartridges stacked on the coffee table, controllers stretched across shag carpet living rooms. The Atari 2600 became the star. Chunky joysticks, bright, blocky graphics, and that satisfying click when the cartridge locked in. The Odyssey 2 added its full alphanumeric keyboard, letting kids feel like junior programmers. And when the Apple II and Commodore 64 arrived, things changed again. Kids were learning basic, writing tiny programs, discovering that computers weren't just toys, they were tools. Then came a moment that shaped gaming forever. Adventure on Atari hid the world's first Easter egg, a secret room displaying the developer's name. Back then, creators were anonymous, invisible, so hiding your signature inside a game felt rebellious, legendary, and it sparked a tradition that still defines gaming today. Next came Nintendo's Game & Watch handhelds, slim metal devices with simple black and white LCD screens that somehow felt magical. Every kid wanted one. You'd see them tucked in denim jacket pockets, held tight during long car rides, traded at recess like rare baseball cards. Each Game & Watch played one game, Ball, Fire, or Donkey Kong, but that was part of the charm. Kids spent hours mastering those tiny beeps and flashes. For most kids, this was their first taste of gaming independence, a world you could carry in your hands. These machines didn't just entertain, they quietly shaped an entire generation's relationship with technology. But behind the flashing lights, a storm was forming. By 1983, the industry was drowning in cheap, rushed, low-quality games. Everyone wanted in, and everyone shipped whatever they could. The breaking point? Atari's ET. Rushed, broken, nearly unplayable. So many copies went unsold that Atari buried thousands of cartridges in the desert. The bubble popped, companies collapsed, stocks tanked. America wrote the obituary. Video games were a fad, and the fad was over. But right as the industry flatlined, one name stepped onto the stage like a defibrillator to the heart of gaming: Nintendo. 8-bit graphics and the release of the NES. It came bundled with Super Mario Bros., a game so good it rewired the childhoods of millions. The NES wasn't just a console, it was a cultural reset. Nintendo added the Duck Hunt light gun, the robotic ROB, and that iconic D-pad. Suddenly, every kid on the block wanted to play Nintendo. Then came Nintendo Power, the Bible of gaming. Every issue came packed with maps, artwork, strategies, secret codes, and pull-out posters. For games like The Legend of Zelda and Pokemon, Nintendo Power wasn't just information, it was imagination on paper. Golden cartridges felt like portals, and playground arguments over how to evolve specific Pokemon became a part of growing up. By the late 80s and early 90s, gaming culture was booming again. Blockbuster started renting games, instantly turning Friday nights into a national ritual. Kids sprinted down aisles hoping no one else beat them to the last copy of Mega Man or Battletoads. Sleepovers turned into tournaments, pizza boxes stacked up. Controllers rotated like torches in a relay race. Renting games wasn't just a hobby, it was childhood. Even schools joined the movement. Kids played Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego and the Oregon Trail on beige Macintosh computers. Everyone knew Computer Lab Day was code for a break disguised as learning. But these games mattered. They turned kids into detectives, explorers, pioneers, all while dodging worksheets. They weren't just educational tools. They were shared memories, digital rites of passage, and then everything leveled up. The late 80s and early 90s didn't just upgrade graphics, they flipped the entire gaming world into overdrive. 16-bit consoles hit American living rooms like lightning. Brighter, faster, louder, and bursting with color that felt almost futuristic. And at the center of that shockwave were two giants locked in a duel, the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo. Suddenly, gaming wasn't just a hobby, it was an identity. You were either a Sonic kid or a Mario kid. There was no middle ground. School cafeterias turned into debate stages. Toy stores became battlegrounds. Demo stations under flickering CRT screens had little crowds of kids wrapped around them, battling for turns, trying to prove once and for all which system ruled the universe. Meanwhile, the Neo Geo sat on the sidelines like a rich kid at recess. Arcade graphics at home, if your parents could swallow a price tag the size of a small TV. Handheld gaming caught fire too. The Game Boy landed in 1989 and didn't just dominate road trips, it took over adolescence. Compact, durable, and powered by 4 AA batteries that somehow always ran out at the worst possible moment, the Game Boy turned every backseat, waiting room, and summer afternoon into a personal arcade. Kids hunched over tiny screens, blasting through Tetris, Pokemon Red and Blue, The Legend of Zelda's Link Awakening, and Metroid 2. The Link cable turned lunch tables and bus rides into trading hubs. Pokemon battles became social currency. It was freedom in your pocket. But not every leap into the future stuck the landing. The Power Glove, released in 1989, looked like it was designed by time travelers. Kids strapped it on, expecting sci-fi greatness, and then found out it barely worked. The movements didn't register, the controls were a nightmare, and most kids took it off after 10 minutes. But visually, it was iconic. It became a symbol of pure 1980s ambition, proof that the industry was willing to try anything. Even the misfires couldn't slow gaming's momentum. By the early 90s, arcades weren't disappearing overnight, but they were slowly losing their grip. The machines were still there in pizza shops and malls, but kids weren't crowding around them like before. Home games were catching up. Fast. Windows 95 swung the door wide open. Suddenly, PCs weren't just office machines. They were entertainment machines. Doom, SimCity, and StarCraft introduced worlds that were bigger, deeper, and more intense than anything in arcades. And then came the LAN party. Bedrooms and basements turned into war zones of beige towers, tangled cables, and the soft whir of overheating fans. Friends hauled heavy CRT monitors across neighborhoods like soldiers carrying gear. Doritos, Mountain Dew, and pizza boxes piled up as Doom, Quake, and StarCraft battles raged deep into the night. These weren't just game sessions. They were events. Victories became legends. Losses became excuses. And that mix of trash talk, caffeine, and camaraderie etched itself into the memories of an entire generation. Then, the mid-90s dropped a revolution on everyone: 3D consoles. When the PlayStation and Nintendo 64 hit the shelves, gaming exploded into 3 dimensions. Super Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time felt like they pulled players into living, breathing worlds. GoldenEye 007 turned basements into 4-player combat arenas where friendships were tested and siblings became sworn enemies. PlayStation brought cinematic storytelling and CD-quality sound that made every weekend feel like stepping into a Blockbuster movie. Then the 2000s arrived and everything went online. The PlayStation 2 and original Xbox turned living rooms into battlegrounds for Grand Theft Auto, Halo, and Metal Gear Solid. But the real breakthrough came in the form of Xbox Live. For the first time ever, friends across the country could team up or trash talk without leaving their rooms. The Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 made it bigger, louder, and more connected than ever, with digital communities that felt like real neighborhoods. Handhelds leveled up too. The PSP brought console-quality 3D gaming everywhere. Buses, road trips, hiding under the covers at night with games like God of War and Monster Hunter, creating obsessions that traveled everywhere. PC gaming went global. World of Warcraft became so massive it practically formed its own civilization. Guilds became families. Raids became legends. Late-night strategy calls turned into lifelong friendships. Then Nintendo shocked everyone again with the Wii. Suddenly, gaming wasn't just for kids. Grandparents were bowling strikes, parents were swinging virtual tennis rackets, and family rooms turned into full-body playgrounds. And somewhere in all that chaos, esports was born. Halo tournaments, early MLG events, custom maps in Forge mode. Gaming wasn't just a pastime anymore. It was competition, community, and culture. By the 2010s, gaming didn't just grow, it took over. The PlayStation 4 and Xbox One turned living rooms into portals to bigger, louder universes. People camped out for midnight launches like concerts. GTA 5 became a global moment, and the kind of release that felt like the entire world pressed start at the same time. Fortnite made dancing on a battlefield a billion-dollar idea. Minecraft handed kids entire universes to shape block by block. League of Legends filled real arenas with roaring fans. And streaming flipped everything, turning bedrooms into studios, players into celebrities, and gaming into a culture that never sleeps. And now, thanks to virtual reality, the next frontier is stepping off the screen entirely. Headsets like the Oculus are finally doing what science fiction has promised for decades, letting us enter worlds instead of just watching them, walk through them, look around them, and live inside them. From ancient board games to neon arcades to online worlds that never shut off, gaming has always evolved with us, and it's still evolving. If you enjoy this type of content, please do us a small favor and hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who grew up gaming. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next stop down the curious road.